The Medicare Part B late enrollment penalty is one of the most costly mistakes seniors make, and it's completely avoidable. Oftentimes, seniors think that they can sign up for Medicare Part B at any time, but that is unfortunately not the case. If you do end up having a late enrollment penalty applied to your Medicare Part B premium, that will be in perpetuity for the rest of your life. You could end up spending in excess of thousands of dollars more than you otherwise should have. So let's go over how that penalty works. So do you have to sign up for Part B? The answer is maybe, right? It depends on the other coverage that you have. We can go over some of what those coverages are and what the penalty is going to be. Now, if you have to sign up for Medicare Part B because your other coverage does not qualify, or you just don't have coverage and you enroll late, the penalty is going to be 10% per 12-month period that you delayed the enrollment, right? So this premium now, the 202.90, that's what Part B is now. If you have a 2-year delay, obviously you can see 243. 5-year delay is 304.35. That gets added to your Part B premium in perpetuity. So permanently, and that's again, every 12 months enrollment is delayed. So let's do some quick math here. You turn 65, you weren't paying attention, you didn't think you had to roll in Part B, whatever the case may have been. You wait 5 years, 202.90. Okay, that's 50%. Because again, it's going to be 10% for every 12-month period that you delayed. So that is 101.45. That's how we get to the 304.35. That becomes your new Part B premium. Now, the Part B premium goes up over time, right? Now, even if the Part B premium did not go up over time, you can see how much extra you'd be paying a year. It's about $1,200. Multiply that by 15 years, then that's another $18,000. But then you factor in the cost of living adjustments, how Part B goes up over time. You're looking at closer to $24,186 if you waited till you were 70. You had a 5-year enrollment penalty, and we assume that somebody lives to age 85. This is more what you'd be looking at as far as excess premiums, right? So when do you have to enroll in Part B? Okay, let's say you're still working and your employer says you work for a company, they have less than 20 employees, right? Less than 20. So if the company had more than 20, you don't have to worry about this. But if they have less than 20 employees, what happens is Medicare becomes the primary payer. Okay, Medicare is primary and your insurance is secondary. So if you never sign up for Medicare when your employer coverage is secondary, you're going to have some problems with billing. You're going to get some unexpected bills if you use the coverage. Now, let's say you're on an ACA plan prior to 65. You turn 65, you think you can keep the ACA plan. Well, that's not necessarily the case. You are required to sign up for Medicare when you are first eligible. A lot of times this gets missed because maybe people aren't paying attention. The insurance carrier is not checking enrollment sizes of one life because that's just a small thing for them to audit, right? But you really don't qualify for this coverage anymore once you become 65. You have coverage through your spouse who's in the same situation. They also have less than 20 employees. You didn't find out. You waited. You couldn't have that Part B late enrollment penalty. The other such a situation that comes up is COBRA. So depending how they classify your separation from the employer, whether it was, that you just left or if it was retirement, you could be on COBRA for anywhere from 18 to 36 months. Now, if it's 36 months, and you didn't realize you had to enroll in Part B, once COBRA is over, you apply during the Part B enrollment window, you're going to pay 30% extra. So 30% excess of what you otherwise would have paid for Medicare Part B. Okay, so you can see this is based on this year's numbers. This is the standard Part B premium, 202.90. Again, every year you delay, we're tacking on an extra 10%. So 10 years, obviously that becomes 100% of what the normal premium would be. Okay. So you can delay it without a penalty. A lot of times people say, oh, my friend told me I had to sign up for Medicare when I first turned 65, that I'm going to have a penalty. But it's not always the case, right? So if your employer is over 20, or excuse me, has over 20 employees, then your employer coverage is the primary payer, and Medicare coverage would be secondary. Now, it may or may not make sense to sign up for Medicare. If your employer has more than 20 employees and you do sign up for Medicare Part A, which a lot of times people will do because there's no cost for Medicare Part A, as long as you've paid into Medicare tax for at least 10 years, you have 40 quarters of paying into Medicare tax. There's not going to be a premium for Part A. You do not want to do that, though, if your employer plan is an HSA eligible plan and you make contributions on a pre-tax basis to the HSA, because if you sign up for Part A, you no longer qualify for that HSA. Now, there are other situations where folks will sign up for Part A when they're on an employer plan because, let's say their employer plan has a high deductible, right? Whoops. Let's say their employer plan has a high deductible that's $5,000, right? So what happens if you have employer coverage, $5,000 deductible, you sign up for Medicare Part A, somebody goes to the hospital, they haven't used the coverage yet that year. Medicare Part A is secondary. You're actually just going to pay the Medicare Part A deductible, which, just to use round numbers, is around $1,700. So that situation makes sense because you're essentially reducing your out-of-pocket exposure from a $5,000 deductible by about $3,300. Okay, so there are some situations where it makes sense. The other time that you will have a penalty if you enroll in Medicare Part B within 8 months of you losing coverage, right? That's another situation where you won't have that penalty. Okay, so these are important things to think about. Do I have to sign up for Medicare? Do I have to sign up for Medicare Part B? Again, it depends. You have to determine if the coverage that you have currently is considered credible coverage by Medicare or not credible coverage by Medicare. Are you on an ACA plan? Or are you on employer coverage that has less than 20 employees or more than 20 employees? So this can be confusing. You can reach out to agents like us, advisors. They can help you. Certainly your employer can give you some guidance as well. These are the things to keep in mind when you're trying to determine, do I have to enroll in Medicare Part B?